Hello there and welcome. Thank you for clicking on this video. But now I want you to come closer for a second. Come over here, come over here. And let me tell you one thing. Dexterity. And yes, you heard that right, I said dexterity. And that's what we're mainly gonna be talking about today. Brawlhalla stats, or one particular stat, which is called the dex stat. So if you're a new Brawlhalla player and you see the Brawlhalla stats, I think it's kinda obvious what most of them do, right? Strength gives you more force and more damage, therefore you can kill your opponents earlier. Then defense obviously makes your enemy deal less damage to you, plus less knockback. Movement speed is a bit harder to understand than the other stat because it also increases your acceleration on the ground and in the air. And if you want a more detailed explanation on the movement stat, here's a chart that you can look at, if you understand anything, that is. But then we have the dex stat, which obviously increases the attack speed of your weapon. Or at least that's what people think. But let me tell you something. Come closer again, come closer again. No, it doesn't do that. Nope. Now let me explain to you what the dex stat actually does. So as I said, most people think that you swing faster probably if you have more dex. For example, if you were to play Sidra's sword on 3 dex, compared to Koji's sword that you can use even on 8 dex, you would think that Koji swings faster than Sidra. But no. That's not the case. If you put them side to side and use the same exact move on the same exact second, it's gonna look exactly the same. What dexterity affects is actually the recovery time after an attack. And if you don't know what recovery time is, it's basically the time where you're stunned after an attack and you cannot do or use another move. And if you still don't understand what I mean, let me just use simple terms. So imagine you're playing Koji, you use a sword side air, which nothing to it, you know, the dex doesn't affect the attack speed like I said, but then the side air ends. And then you can use another move. And guess what? That's literally what dex affects. It makes the side air end faster, or it makes your first move end faster so you can use another move faster. And isn't that pretty weird? It feels pretty weird to me. But at the same time, it kinda does the job. And that is why, for example, if you would see a Vrax player playing a Lance and spamming moves left and right, and you cannot do anything about it because, you know, Vrax has on base stance 8 dexterity compared to, for example, Ugremon 2 dexterity. This is like an extreme example. Obviously, the Vrax is gonna be able to spam out a lot more attacks. So to make it even more simple, more dex equals more spam. Less dex equals you can spam the attack less. That's it, literally. But here's the thing, guys. Sometimes dex doesn't really matter. And here comes a debate between players. Some people say dex is completely broken, and then others say that it's one of the most useless stats in the game. And that's gonna be our main topic for today's video. Hold your thought for a second though. If you are new here, or if for some odd reason you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. The button is right over here, and it takes like, what, 2 to 3 seconds to scroll down and click on it. You really support me like that, and I can keep providing this epic content for you. And honestly, that's how. It just means a lot to me, and to him as well, to us together. So thank you so much. And now let's continue with this video. So let's get in a game with Koji now and keep talking about dexterity. And obviously there's something I didn't mention, by the way, which is the true combos that you can get from having higher dex. For example, there's a 3-hit combo on bow that you can get only after 6 dex. And let me actually go into training mode so I can quickly show you this combo. This is basically it. You can do it like that, reversed, or you can do it in the same direction, like this. And this is a combo you get by having 6 dex. Which, you know, some characters cannot do this true. As you can see, there's a dodge window there, and that's what you're gonna get if you're playing a character which is lower than 6 dex, or if you don't hit the combo true. And now we're actually going into our first game, so let's destroy this person while we're talking about dexterity. So here's the thing, guys. I really don't know if I would put myself in the position to say that dex is completely useless, because obviously it does something, so therefore it cannot be completely useless. But I think this stat is a bit underwhelming when it comes to the other stats. For example, movement speed is clearly the best stat in the game, or at least I think it is, because for this game you need a lot of movement speed, especially off stage, so you can recover faster through the stage. And I tend to play off stage a lot, and I think most players tend to play off stage a lot because everyone gets sent to the side like that, and they have to recover, and the more movement speed you have, the better for you. Then strength and defense, those two stats are just, come on, who doesn't need strength and defense? You need strength to kill, you need defense to survive, very important stats. But then dexterity, you know, the thing about dexterity is that for some weapons, your spam ability, let me just say it like that, on some weapons doesn't change too much, even if you have high or low dex. Koji is really not too good of an example, because I would say it does change a few stuff for bow. For sword, not really though. But then we have a character like Volkov, this guy over here that has like, what, 8 dex, and the thing is, it doesn't really change too many stuff. I would say this character is not that good. Having 8 dex and having like axe inside, I feel like it doesn't change a crazy amount of stuff. Like, this is why Volkov is considered one of the worst characters in the game. It's because he has way too high dex and the other stats are just way too low. Like, let's boot up the game. Like, let's start the game. Let's see his stats. Just look at it. In order to get 5 movement speed, which is the bare minimum, 5 movement speed is a must if you're playing this game for most characters. You have to do minus strength and then you get 3 strength. And then guess what? He has like 8 dexterity. What are you gonna use that 8 dexterity for? You're not. No, you're not. It's not useful. That's what I'm trying to say. I still don't see a big difference when I'm playing axe. Sure, I can spam a bit more, which is like obviously that's what the stat does, but I don't get a huge advantage from having so much dex. And if Volkov had like better stats, better strength, better movement speed, I think he would be one of the best characters in the game. And right now, he's not really one of the best in the game. But don't get me wrong, he's still a viable character, just like any other character in the game. But then here's the thing. Then comes a character like Wu Shang. There we go. Let's use the skin. That has like, what, 7 dex without using the minus dex stance. And for this character, dex matters quite a bit. Okay, let's say for spear mainly. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think it's at 6 dex. You get a true combo on spear as well, which is cider and light. I think it's at 6 dex, I'm not entirely sure. In a perfect world, I would really want to propose a dexterity change, like a revamp of the whole stat, because it feels like Brawlhalla completely forgot about the stat. They made it so it changes some weapons attacks to a degree, and then after like a certain amount of years, for example, I feel like it doesn't do anything to Greatsword. I feel like it doesn't do anything to Chakram. I can't say yet because we have only one character, but it really feels like it. And about Orb, honestly, I have no idea about Orb. For Wu Shang, this character is just in general good. Wu Shang actually has like insane signatures, so even without having high dex, I feel like he would be one of the best characters in the game. Every signature is good on this character. Like, it's crazy how good they are. And the gauntlet signatures are actually even better than the spear signatures, in my opinion, especially this D-sig. And no, that's not a D-sig, like this D-sig over here. When it doesn't hit, it hits. When it hits, it hits. Like, it sucks you win, and in 2v2 it hits like everyone. You can hit so many people, it's insane. What a signature. You can use it for dodge reads, like that, if they dodge down, or actually not only down, there's a few more dodges that it catches. But this is my point, this character is just good, so the dex doesn't matter too much if we're gonna talk about Wu Shang, because this character is just made to be good. Now here's another extreme example, and some people and pro players think this is very good. 9 dex racks, you're using plus dex to get 9 dex, almost 10 dex by the way. Like, what is this? What am I? Oh my god, Lance is just a light weapon, I'm telling you guys. Did you just see that? Now here we have some true combos that actually they just shouldn't exist, but you know, they do because of 9 dex. First one is this, and light. I couldn't hit it this time, but I just wanted to show you guys the combo. That is actually true if you hit it in the right angle, which is a 3-hit true combo, but you're not gonna be hitting this most of the time, obviously. And also, delight and light is a true combo, which is so annoying to get hit by. Oh my god, it is the most annoying thing ever. So these are the characters that would become even more broken if we were to change dex in a way to like buff dex. Lord Rex, he would be probably like super insane, but I would still want to propose a dex change because I feel like they really forgot about this stat, and I feel like this stat is not properly explained for beginner players as well on what it does. And when I say beginner players, I don't even mean like silver or golds. I think even in plats plus diamonds don't know. Maybe even some Brawlhallans, imagine. And then we talked about 9 dex. Now let's talk about 2 dex. This is where dex becomes an issue, because I don't think it should be allowed to have this low dex and for you to feel so fast at the same time. And it's kinda crazy, like, just, you remember how I was spamming down air on Lance, right? Like, this down air, it feels like nothing changed and I can just spam it the same way. So if you miss or hit the move, which is down air in this case, obviously if you hit it, you're gonna be a bit faster. If you miss it, you're gonna be stunned for a bit longer. But even so, the stun feels just not enough. And that is why people like playing 2 dex Ugrim in rank 2s mainly. A character that will have 2 dex, you would think this character should be super slow on his attacks, but in reality, it is not super slow. You won't be able to see too much of a difference unless you're pro or close to a pro player. Oh, and did I mention that dexterity does not affect signatures? And that is what makes a character like Ugrim that has 2 heavy weapons and signatures as fast as a bullet train insanely really good. I feel like there has to be some mechanic to like slow down these signatures on like lower dex characters, no? Or just a mechanic for signatures in general, so you can't spam the same move over and over. I don't know, it's just weird to me that you can spam signatures one after another. Now let's go on Linfei to talk about this next topic. Should dexterity affect signatures? By the way, take a look at Linfei's stats. This character is close to S tier, keep that in mind, even with 4 damage. The reason is, I would say it's mainly, actually I'm not sure if it's mainly cannon. Cannon is just such a spammable weapon, like it's insane. Even if you have low dex, you can spam this weapon like it's a shotgun, like I'm telling you. If you have high dex, it doesn't change too much, but it does change some stuff. But the thing is, Linfei does have this as well. This signature, that is like a light attack. And now I do it again. Oh my god, I almost walked into that, but we're all good. Boom, he can punish. Boom, he punished this time. Wow. And he missed the same punish all the time. This is what I'm trying to tell you guys. Should dexterity affect signatures? Like, if it does, this thing is gonna be even more broken. But I feel like it would make more sense that dexterity does affect signatures in a way, or the game just in general has like a mechanic to affect signatures in a way. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here comes another point that I want to talk about. Most players just use minus dex on characters. For example, on Ulgrim. This should not be a viable stance. Why is it used in 2v2s, bro? Imagine if you had 2 defense. If you had 2 from any other stat, this would not be okay, like at all. And then you have characters, you know, like Teska, minus dex. Wait, why am I saying Teska and I'm on J on what? Good point, Pavelski. Teska as well, minus dex. Then you have Onyx, minus dex again. Cross plus movement speed minus dex. Why? Because movement speed is the most important stat in the game, obviously. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. They kind of forgot about the stat when they made some weapons. For example, Greatsword. Like, this character over here is actually so good. If he had like 5 movement speed, I would be a bit more happy and probably would play this character more. He's on 4. It's okay. For some characters, 4 movement speed works. But here's the thing, even if 4 movement speed does work for some characters, 2 movement speed would not work. Why is 2 dex a thing? Oh, and by the way, did I talk about 7? 2 dex? And then we have King Zuva that feels like the slowest character in the game for some reason, even though he's not. I swear, if he had minus 2 strength and like 7 movement speed, this dex over here would not matter too much. So right now, dex does kind of feel like a stat dump, because most characters and most pro players would rather not have dex in their like stat kit, I guess you can say it like that. Now let's start with proposals on how to change dexterity. Or who said it has to be dexterity only? Maybe it could be a new feature. But let's get started with dexterity first. Here are some crazy ideas that I have in mind, which yeah, some are gonna be good, some are gonna be horrific, but hey, we have experimental for this, right? Experimental is to add changes in that game mode. So what if high dex actually did in fact make your swings faster and didn't make the secondary move able to like release faster so you can spam it more? Because that's what it currently does. But what if it made the first move just faster so you can swing faster? Imagine this cider but faster. See, this is a pretty crazy change, and this type of change has to go through experimental so players can test it out. And you know, some players are gonna be pretty hyped about this, and then others are gonna probably not like it at all. I feel like Brawlhalla is a game that has endless potential and they could just try out a lot of stuff, and at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, why not make it a fun game mode? Then another proposal is, what if we actually made the moves have more stun on miss? Because like I told you guys earlier, it doesn't feel like they have enough stun, and they're still spammable. So lower dex equals more stun, which could be a good change, honestly. That one is a bit more reasonable than the first one. But hey, we could always just try the first one, experiment and see what happens, you know. Again, I'm telling you, Brawlhalla, a game with endless potential. They could be going for crazy stuff, they could be testing out crazy stuff, but I feel like they're not really testing out as crazy stuff as they should. Now, what about combo damage? Imagine if having more dex makes you just do more damage when you get a true combo or a combo in general, if they have their dodge burned. Now, that would be pretty cool. Like, imagine if you did more damage when you get a dodge read, even more rewarded for your dodge read. And I think that actually sounds like a pretty good idea. Obviously, this is just me saying random stuff on top of my head that I can think of right now. Well, not really random. I did think about this stuff for a bit, but I have to see them in-game to know how broken or not broken they're gonna be. But hey, this is a decent proposal, and I'm not saying that the damage should be like insane. Even like 0.1 plus damage per combo could be like crazy on a burn dodge or just a true combo. For example, he dodges right now, boom, boom. If I hit that dodge, hold up, let me hit the dodge, come on. Okay, boom, he has no dodge. And that over here would do slightly more damage, for example, like 0.1, like something like that, or 1, or exactly 1. Because even though it is literally nothing, and I'm saying about higher dex characters, it will scale with dex. So if you have 2 dex, obviously it's gonna be like 0.1, then 0.5, then maybe max is gonna be 0.5 actually, because more than that it might be more broken, I don't know. But yeah, stuff to experiment with. Then there's another thing, which is dodge penalties, which is a bit danger zone. So what if low dex characters actually had less dodge time or less spammability on the dodge key? Which means is if they dodge, you have 0.1 second more in which you can dodge. And a 5 dex character would have like 0.1 second more. I hope that makes sense. So in general, what I'm trying to say is that lower dex makes you dodge slower with 0.1 second. Or we can use game terms and just say like what, 1 to 10 frames? Which is a bit, yeah, it's a bit on the danger zone, experimenting and trying with the dodges, but it's still gonna be an experiment when not in rank. So yeah, these changes are still nice to try out. These changes are still nice to try out. Like, I don't see why. I feel like in experimental they haven't tried out anything too crazy as of recently, and that's why I'm just suggesting some stuff that they could try out. Now another idea is making the signatures rely on dex. So less dex equals you spam your signatures less, or you have some cooldown, a bigger cooldown on when you can use the sig. I don't think it's too bad of an idea, honestly, but I think that should be a mechanic added to the game in general that shouldn't matter, like based off of your dex. I feel like signature spam needs to be addressed, especially for newer players, because it is a broken thing and it's not fun to play against it. It's just not. You don't want to get 6 spammed. I'm playing 2 dex Sugrim right now and I'm swinging faster than this Mordek's sight, which is a light weapon. Interesting, am I right? And then also imagine some other, like complete other changes, because I'm kind of done with the deck stock. I just think this stat needs a tweak, needs a change, needs a improvement. I would say it needs a buff and a nerf, and a just in general change on the whole stat, because it just feels weird. It does 2 stuff right now: true combos plus makes your second move more spammable. So you can get out of stun on the first move like this, and you can use another move faster. That is what it does right now. And then it gives you some true combos here and there, by the way. Not on every weapon, not on most weapons. Again, I'm comparing this stat to the others. I feel like it's the most useless out of the bunch. That is just how I think about it in general. I feel like the other stats matter just a lot more. Strength, defense, movement speed especially. Again, most important stat in the game in my opinion. And yeah, hopefully we get some kind of cool change, or just it doesn't have to be with dex in general. It could be a Brawlhalla change, such as adding perks to the game. Imagine Brawlhalla with perks. If you're on one stock, you get a 10% damage buff. If you're 100 damage behind, you get something. You get what I'm trying to say. This game with perks would actually be, would it be interesting or would it be worse? What do you guys think? This is just something that I wanted to quickly talk about. I want to see what you guys thinking about this. I need some opinions on this, because I'm not entirely sure about the perk system. Multiverses did use that perk system. I don't think it was too bad. I just think it was made poorly. And by that I mean it wasn't explained too well, plus it didn't fit too well, and yeah, it feels like a rushed system. That's how it feels to me. And Multiverse also does have the cooldown after using the same move over and over and over, which is pretty nice. And with Brawlhalla, you don't have to really do that. You can just do it for signatures in my opinion, and that would be enough. But even with Brawlhalla, imagine a person is spamming Enlight. Would you want them to not be able to spam the same move over and over? Or would you want them to not spam the same sig over and over? I think sig makes more sense, but even for the same move, it might make sense. We will have to test that out in experimental as well if Brawlhalla wants to change that. And then the thing that I will actually want to see a lot in Brawlhalla, if we're not getting, you know, those deck changes, is imagine this game, but you have an ultimate special, crazy, unique ability. Okay, let me just use one more. Just an ultimate ability. Imagine like you play your main character and then after a while there's a bar or something, I don't know, maybe it's not a bar, whatever it could be, that just charges up or just doesn't charge up, that you just have an ultimate at one point. Imagine having something like that, and it could be something just insane. It could be even only for 3-4 hours. It doesn't have to be in ranked. You know, people would love this game a lot more. I feel like it would be so fun. And you know, the perfect example for this ultimate ability, I would say it's this character over here, Nyx. Imagine you're playing Sight, and then all of a sudden, something happens, you get some insane aura around you, your Sight becomes bigger, your character gets a massive smile on their face, and then they do a massive move on the screen that is like, that looks 5 times better than this over here. Bro, don't tell me you're not gonna be hyped if you hit that. And again, if this is not a competitive type of thing, it could be a free-for-all type of thing. But who knows? We just have to test a lot of stuff, right? Again, this game does have a lot of potential, and I know Brawlhalla, when they change something, they take 5 years, because we're changing these, like, for example, clans. There's gonna be an update that's coming soon, a guilds update, which should have been a thing for what, like 5 years now, 6 years now, but they decided to do it after 5 years or 6 years, which is just wild to me, bro. Even though I wouldn't say I understand too much about game development, I know that there was a time where multiverses was very popular, and every single person from the Brawlhalla community pushed Brawlhalla to make changes. And guess what? In 1 month, we got so many changes, plus a brand new rank, which is just crazy. If you push them, you know, they're gonna do all the changes. I feel like they just need a little bit of pushing, which is actually a bad thing. They should be doing the changes fast on their own, in my opinion. But yeah, it is what it is. And I think we did talk about everything here. Conclusion is, I would really like to see some life in Brawlhalla, some changes, some risky changes, or just something in general. It would just make me very happy, because, you know, I enjoy this game a lot. And I just want this game to keep getting better and better, because this game does have a lot of potential, in my opinion. And yeah, I would just like to see Brawlhalla become even better than it is right now. In my opinion, sometimes the risky way is the right way, you know, not only in game development, not only in gameplay, but also in real life. So hopefully we get some fresh changes soon. I'm gonna talk about more stuff in the future, because I do have a few more ideas to talk about. I just talked about most stuff quickly in this video, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Conclusion is, I think Dex needs a change. I think Brawlhalla in general needs some life, some fresh changes in experimental would do the work. Is Dex even an issue? Well, I don't know, it's up for debate. In my opinion, it kinda is. Anyways, if you enjoyed today's video, then please scroll down and click on that magnificent subscribe button right over there. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.